Deputy Chief, Animal Services Officer, and we are here with some of our friends going to tour the shelter. We are America's largest no-kill municipal shelter. We're now saving 98% of the animals that come through our doors. The only animals dying are those that are medically suffering with no chance of recovery and those that pose an immediate threat to public safety. Other than that, everybody's safe and everybody gets out of here alive.
What's your average annual intake with that 98% save rate?
18,000 animals a year.
18,000 animals a year. All right. Thank you so much for this, Kristen. I'm sure everyone watching is really going to appreciate this.
Come on in.
All right, guys, here we are in Austin. We're going to check out how they save 98% of their 18,000 animals a year.
Here we are in the lobby. This is where all the adoptions happen, and you start right here. Come on in. We have about 700 to 800 animals here on site at any time, and another 700 to 800 in foster at any time. So actually, to house all those animals and keep them alive, you'd have to have a shelter double the size of this one.
So say that one more time quickly, because where we're at, it's really hard to get shelters to actually let dogs foster. How many do you have at the shelter? How many do you have in foster care?
At any given time, we have up to 800 in the shelter, and we'll have another up to 800 in foster care, depending on the time of year. So we can double our capacity for life-saving just by keeping those animals in foster. And we send about 3,000 animals a year to foster, and most of those never come back to the shelter. They get adopted straight from foster homes. Go this way.
All right.
We're going to start in the grand hallway of cats.
Okay, that sounds impressive.
It is. This is one of my favorite parts of the animal center because it's just the gateway to all of our cats.
Awesome.
On the left you have cats, and on the right you have little dogs. So we didn't have kennels for little dogs, so all the little dogs are actually in our cat kennels.
Okay.
And there's, at any time here, we'll have 40 to 50 little dogs, no small dogs in Austin, regardless of behavior or risk, none of them. We save essentially every small dog, and we do behavioral rehabilitation for any small dog that has behavior issues.
Awesome. How is your shelter pet for president campaign going?
Going pretty well. It's going pretty well.
Meowlery kitten.
Yes, Meowlery's winning at this point. So there's a lot of things we do differently here. All these cats are actually being treated for illness, yet they're still on public view. A big difference between us and other shelters is that all of our animals are on public view. We don't hide any animals in the back.
So what are some of these guys being treated for right now?
These guys are probably being treated for upper respiratory infection, and they will be treated and then available for adoption. And we also have, when we walk up here a little bit further, we have ringworm cats, and in a lot of shelters, ringworm, they're still dying.
Right.
Here, they're available for foster adoption while they're being treated. They can go home.
So you have a special ringworm
Yeah,
area
let's
just
go.
for that. Let's go see that.
Cats, cats, cats. And this is not our cat adoption area yet. These cats are all publicly on view, but this isn't, we're not to the cat adoption, the actual cat adoption room yet.
So if you guys can catch that, these are all cats that are being treated, but everything here is about open disclosure and transparency. So even the cats and the animals that are being medically treated can still be viewed. This isn't even the cat adoption area yet.
Okay, we're at ringworm. So all we do is we tell people what ringworm is. And what is ringworm? It's basically athlete's foot. It is contagious though to people and other pets. So we let people know that, but we also give them the option to foster or adopt those pets, take them home and finish treatment in the home. And this is great because they don't sit here. In a lot of shelters, kittens, even when they're being treated, they sit for several months in the back. Here, they get adopted and go home and finish their treatment. And they grow up in a home instead of in the shelter.
So really quickly, how do you guys make sure that it doesn't spread? Because that was the one thing I always heard as a small shelter director. If you get one hair through the shelter, everyone's gonna get ringworm. So we have to euthanize the few that show symptoms to make sure that, for the greater good.
Right.
So how do you guys control this very briefly?
It would be kind of similar to saying like a person that gets athlete's foot has to die because
Right.
of athlete's foot.
Sure.
It's just not that serious of a condition.
Right.
So we don't euthanize animals for it. We do keep them isolated into a room though. The public can't enter this room.
Is there separate ventilation here, or
Yeah, the air handling systems keep the air isolated in the
All
rooms,
the
and
air's
that's really
isolated.
important. We don't have a disease problem here, knock on wood, because we have the animals separated into rooms. So it does have separate air handling, and
Do employees wear like booties or no,
Yeah,
these
so
are big
people-
gloves and yeah.
yeah, so there's certain people that go in certain rooms each day to prevent cross spreading of.
There we go. So simple. So simple.
Yeah, so simple, and we don't have a problem. The whole shelter isn't full of ringworms.
Right,
so,
right, yeah. So you can prove that it works.
yeah.
All right,
Yep.
cool.
All right, we're headed into the big cat adoption room now. We're still, it's still morning cleaning, so excuse our mess, but these are just some of the cats and kittens ready for adoption. Importantly here, the public can interact with animals on their own. They don't have to be escorted. They don't have to have someone help them. They can visit with animals on their own. And that's true for cats and dogs. And so the signage all indicates what animals can be held and what can't. Another thing we do differently here is that animals are available for adoption on day one. The day they come into the shelter, the hour they come into the shelter, they're available for adoption. And they're allowed, and the people can adopt them, but they can't pick them up till the conclusion of the 3-day stray hold. But it gets them moving much more quickly. To be no-kill, every second matters.
Every second matters, exactly. You have no idea what's coming in tomorrow, so
Yep.
you have to make, yeah.
Yeah, moving fast is the name of the game when you want to
Exactly.
save lives.
Exactly.
So we have special rooms. We don't, FELV cats and FIV cats get adopted. FIV cats can go home with anyone, regardless of whether they have an FIV positive or negative cat at home. We just explain what that all means to them. And the cats that stay here a long time can go in group rooms. So I'm going to take you in one of those rooms now to visit with some of our longer stay cats. Hi guys. And just like dogs, the cats have outdoor spaces too.
So
So
awesome.
they don't have to stay inside all day. They can go out on their patio and hang out. These rooms are great for when we get hoarding cases because we can put a bunch of cats that already know each other in a room and it gives them time to acclimate. Hey guys.
It's so nice to have the outside area too. Doesn't that help a lot with bringing down upper respiratory?
It does. Our levels of illness are so low, and we really believe it has a lot to do with the fact that the animals can get in and out.
Yeah.
It lowers the stress level. They all get, one thing shelters should all do, we plant cat grass all the time, and it lasts a couple of weeks. The cats love it, so we plant cat grass all over the shelter, and we even give it out to adopters. Hi guys. This is just one of our cat rooms, and this is these guys are all available for adoption. The public can meet and greet with them, pick out a cat, and then complete the adoption in about a half hour.
About a half hour.
Yes.
Nice.
Now I'm taking you to my favorite part of the shelter. The thing about being here that feels really amazing is that when you take killing off the table and you know all the animals are going to die, the whole feeling of the place to me is really different than most animal shelters because there isn't that fear of this animal might be gone tomorrow, it might disappear, it might make a mistake that's going to end its life. Everybody here is safe. They're all going to get out alive. They're all going to get home. So this is Dog Adopt. This is our medium and large dog adoption area.
Thank you.
Sure. A lot of these dogs will be in here for several months while they wait for a home, so we try to make it as comfortable as possible. One thing that we do is we don't care, the dogs can have any toys and treats they want.
Okay.
They can have rope, they can have stuffed animals, they can have rawhides, they can have any treat they want. Whatever we can do to make life more fun and easy, we do it. And we don't see tons of impactions. We don't have problems associated with that. And so many shelters we go to, they limit what the dogs can get.
Right.
And there's really no reason for it because you get so many donations. And most shelters just throw those away or give them away.
Right, yeah.
We keep them all and give them to our dogs to keep them happy and healthy while they're here.
That's awesome. Can you comment really quickly on that? What does adopt and just awesome. Thank you.
These are awesome. These are really awesome too. We do these now for everybody. They're report cards.
Yep.
So everybody gets a report card. They practice their academics when they're with the volunteers. They go to recess, so any volunteer can take a dog on an off-site outing. They can just take them out of the shelter and they can take them swimming. They can take them to get a hamburger. They can do whatever they want, and then they circle that. And then we have the volunteers circle the different qualities, and that really helps the dogs find homes faster. And of course, we do playgroups here.
Yes.
So any dog that does well in playgroup gets one of these playgroup Rockstar tags. That means that dog is generally social with all the other dogs it's met here, and those dogs get adopted really quickly to get that tag on their kennel.
Hey, bud.
And so these guys are housed together all the time?
Yeah, we co-house dogs. We pair them up. We try to pair them up with different dogs.
Right.
So we just we
Oh,
think
so
of
they
it.
cycle through it, or?
Mhm.
Okay.
We think of it like camp.
Mhm.
So it's like might have a bunkmate one week, you might have a different one another week.
Right.
But these are all meant for co-housing because we believe the dogs are healthier and happier when they have a bunkmate and they can live with another dog.
And are these are they about 10 by, what are the dimensions here, give or take?
I think they're 9 by 9.
Okay, yeah. So I have 10 by 10.
They're like
kennels.
horse
Yeah, it looks
stalls.
similar to,
Yeah.
In my barn, we do the same thing. We have 2 and it's 10 by 10. Yeah, similar. Yeah.
And it works out fine. They all have outdoor yards that they
Right.
can go in. So, and some of the dogs right now are outside for cleaning. That's why
Sure,
you haven't
sure.
seen them in here. The other thing we do, this is from Amy Sadler, is everybody gets tracked on a walk board. We have hundreds of dogs here. The only way to track whether they're getting out is to use these walk boards, and so this shows the times they go out. And this shows their name. Every animal has a name here. We give every single animal a name because a lot of shelters, they have these A&Ms that sort of like don't help adopters connect. So we give everybody a name, and then this just tells us their handleability. So the green dot, anyone can walk. The blue dot, you have to be a volunteer, and the red dot can't be handled unless you're a staff member.
Okay.
So let's bump out of here and tell the dogs are outside while cleaning's happening, and we'll head over to another kennel. So over there we have our agility yard. So we're
cool.
going to head over to one of our. This was not built as an Oak Hill facility, so these were supposed to be the only adoption kennels.
Okay.
What we did is we said all the stray kennels are now adoption kennels, so we opened up all these stray kennels to potential adopters. So now all of these, we have 4 more buildings over here that are all on public view that would have been stray dogs. Now they're dogs that are available for adoption. Hi guys. Looks like everybody's outside for morning cleaning, so that won't be very exciting. Let's head over here. We're cleaning. This is cleaning time, so excuse our mess.
Mid-morning is always cleaning time, so.
Okay, so that group of people, we did this thing that was kind of genius. Instead of hiring a dog, we have one coordinator, and all she does is bring in.
Sorry, Mary.
So and they walk 50 to
Sorry, I do. Okay, sorry, I saw this my. Okay, alright.
This summer drive, these are the outdoor portions of the kennels that were meant to be stray kennels. They're now adoption. So clean.
Yeah, right.
You'll see every dog here has a collar on. When I came here a year and a half ago, this was inside Sometimes there's no collar on a dog. People sort of see it as a homeless pound dog, and so by putting collars and tags on them, we make they're actually they look like pets. They look like they're ready to go.
Right, exactly.
Come on. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh. Hi, big guy.
Aw, hey.
We're gonna head up now. There's many of these buildings. We walked you through a tiny one because it's about 10 times what we just walked through in stray kennels. It can be intimidating for adopters because in a lot of shelters they only put 20 or 25 dogs on public view.
Right.
Here you can see 300, and that can be a little overwhelming at first. So we try to have people out in the kennel areas all the time talking to adopters.
I know the answer. Come up closer. I know the answer to this question already, but I want to ask it just so I can hear you say it. Where's your backboard, your unadoptable, staff only, no one can see them or touch them or handle them area of the shelter?
We don't have that here. We do bike quarantine for the public.
Of course.
And so when animals are on bike quarantine, they're legally not allowed to be on public view. But the only animals that are off public view are either on bike quarantine or they're receiving intensive medical care.
Right.
There's no unadoptable rescue only.
There's no mysterious back ward where dogs just go and are never heard from again?
No.
Thank you. I knew that answer. I just wanted to ask it
No.
on camera.
No, and every one of our dogs we see as an individual, and everyone matters. So if one does leave its kennel, if one of our 300 dogs leaves its kennel and people don't know where it is, I will be getting 5 emails saying, "Where's that dog? Is he okay? Is he getting medical treatment?" Our volunteers are really tuned into what's happening with the dogs.
And that was actually one thing that I wanted to hone in on from your speech yesterday when you talked about the volunteer advocates and how even if a volunteer advocate disagrees with a staff member, they're both valuable and you want to hear from that volunteer advocate, and you will even encourage them if they care so much to offer solutions to take that dog home rather than ostracize that volunteer because they disagree with what your personal opinion may be. You welcome all these different opinions because it takes all these opinions and all this energy to save lives, as many lives as possible. That just really resonated so much with me that even if we don't agree with the advocates, we should all be working together because their energy and passion can be used for the shelter, for those specific animals that they're advocating so hard for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People always forget who work in this field that conflict doesn't save lives. Conflict is what has led to our 98% save rate. And so sometimes I'll have a dog on a euthanasia list and a volunteer writes me a pretty hard email or confronts me, and that's awesome. Because I want them to confront me because I want them to be fighting to save those dogs' lives. And most of the time it works. Yeah, most of the time. We tell our volunteers and our staff if they want to save a life, it's not enough just to say we don't want to kill that animal. They have to come up with solutions, but we let them.
Right.
Let them come up with solutions.
Take that passion and use it to find a solution instead of protesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we all get along pretty well despite some very spirited discussions. So we're headed into this is the back ward. This is where the public cannot access. This is our more intensive medical treatment areas. Take you to our large dog ICU.
Okay.
And so this is where we treat all medical cases. So there's nothing that we won't try to save. So we have some more serious medical cases back here right now.
Okay.
This dog has a broken back. It's receiving treatment. This dog has a pelvic fracture. So these dogs will get the surgery that they need, and they will get rehome.